I know what my dream life looks like. So why do I feel so stuck? Two years ago, I dropped out of university to pursue my dream life. And even though I didn't know exactly what I wanted, I thought that my life would look a little different by this point. At 22 years old, I'm not officially a resident of any country. I've never been in a real relationship. My sleep schedule is harming my health at this point. I haven't replied to most of my friends in weeks, haven't cooked a meal since September of last year, and I've made overwhelm and stress my emotional home, the place that I somehow always find my way back to. So how did I get here? I have been stuck in a loop that I think way too many people are familiar with. One day I'll get really motivated and I write out all the things I want to accomplish. I create the most detailed plan ever, follow it for about 2 to 3 days, only to feel burnt out and overwhelmed by my own sky-high expectations. So I'll spend a few days heavily procrastinating when random motivation hits and the cycle repeats itself. The problem is the more I repeat that cycle, the less I trust myself. Is this time really going to be any different? Or am I just going back to being lazy and inconsistent, like always? As destructive as that whole cycle was, I found my own ways to deal with it. Traveling became my way of avoiding reality, and going out of my comfort zone became my excuse for literally everything. I was in university studying for a career that I didn't want, so I was traveling as much as I possibly could. Booked a last-minute flight to Brazil for my first ever solo trip. Spent a week in Barcelona right before a huge assignment was due. Went on my first ever group trip traveling all around Turkey and then co-hosting my own group trip in Portugal. And then I dropped out, right in the middle of my degree. To say that I was lost is an understatement. For years up until that point, my whole personality on YouTube and in real life was being an A+ student.
You want a school tour?
And that's how most of you found me. So I fear that that would be the end for my channel because people only liked me for the study motivation, which was something that I couldn't provide anymore. And at the time, social media was my only source of income, so that only added on to the pressure of the decision. I felt like the biggest failure, but I knew I had made the right choice. So at the time, I was living in London and it was not the city for me, and I used that as an excuse for every single problem in my life. So it was time for a fresh start. I found an apartment online, packed up like 12 suitcases worth of stuff, and moved to my favorite city, Barcelona.
Oh my god, I just signed the contract. This is my place.
The first 3 months were amazing. Motivation was so high and I was having so much fun, but old habits die hard, so reality hit me again. So what did I do? Spent a week freezing my ass off with Wim Hof in Poland, went on a yoga retreat in Costa Rica, visited India for the first time with friends, flew to Mauritius for my brother's birthday, spent a week learning from Eckhart Tolle in Norway and a week learning from Tony Robbins in Birmingham. Decided to become a digital nomad and leave Barcelona after living there for 6 months because apparently I wasn't traveling enough. Lived in Sicily, Rome, Riga, Alicante, and eventually decided to settle in Bali, Indonesia. I'm hoping you can see the pattern by now. And don't get me wrong, I really love traveling. I learned a lot about myself on every trip, experienced so much of the world around me, and made some of my favorite memories yet. And I'm very grateful that I'm even able to financially support this very weird coping mechanism. But I had gotten completely stuck in a victim mindset, blaming every single external factor instead of taking ownership for the choices I made daily. So just 2 months ago, after living in Bali for a couple of months, I realized that something still felt off. My life finally looked like my Pinterest boards, but I didn't feel how I expected myself to feel. I thought that once I would have all of these physical things that I wanted, that I would get the lifestyle that comes with it as a result. But my lifestyle was still exactly the same as the girl who was still in university, struggling with all of her bad habits and always feeling stuck. The foundational habits that I needed to live my dream lifestyle weren't there. So once again, my solution was to run.
Guess who just bought one-way tickets to Rio for next week?
Yes, another trip. And this was going to be a very long one. I was planning to travel all over South America for a whole year. So I flew to Brazil and spent a couple of days there before I somehow finally noticed the pattern. So what happens when all the trips stop and I can't run away from my problems anymore? What happens when I have nothing else to blame but myself? This is where this series comes in. I am sick of running away from my problems. Sick of it. Done with it. I kept setting new goals again and again because I thought my problem was a lack of planning. But new goals don't deliver new results. New lifestyles do. What I had to work on was my lifestyle. The little daily habits that I couldn't stay consistent with. And I mean, I did try to start new healthy habits all the time, but I was super impatient with myself. Always trying to transform my whole life overnight. Either showing up as the highest version of myself or hardly showing up at all. And that's part of the reason that it was so hard for me to be consistent online. I wasn't happy with the lifestyle I was living, and documenting it just felt embarrassing to me. Seeing it on video was a truth that I couldn't run away from. I kept telling myself, once I fix my life, I'll get back to regularly filming. I started my channel almost a decade ago wanting to just document my life. Somewhere along the way, it turned into me making videos for others instead of myself. But it is time for that to change. I am officially treating this channel as my diary from now on. Each week, I'm going to analyze what is holding me back the most in that moment and focus on that, 1 week at a time. And as each week goes on, my habits will start to compound and build on each other, and the lifestyle I've been dreaming of will be closer and closer. There are many things that I want to work on, but I am not in a rush this time. Dream Life Diaries documents my journey to a lifestyle of my dreams, but it also reminds me that I can start living my dream life right now. I don't have to wait until I fix myself. Our dream lives are a set of emotions we want to feel, not a long list of material things that we want. Yes, those things are a bonus, but they come as a result of your thoughts, not the other way around. So the first step is feeling like I'm already living my dream life, even if my physical circumstances are telling me otherwise. The secret to having it all is knowing that you already do. And so I invite you to join me on my journey where I stop running away from life and start creating it. I'm ready to start building bridges between my dreams and reality.
Ну ладно, до свидания.